Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the maiden voyage, if you will, of the Mario Chaos and the Kid Show. Coming at you from Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling's training facility. I'm your co-host, Mario Mancini. I'm a former WWE wrestler and co-instructor at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, along with Pretty Paul Roma, Big Steve Tracy, Paul Perez, and Sergeant Ralph Murray. Seated to the right of me is the reason why we're sitting here today, because we got kicked off of every other medium. So now we're at a podcast, because in his name is the word chaos, which he creates. However, as he creates it, he is the guardian of it. He is known as a Big Daddy, the guardian of chaos. Big Daddy, what's going on?
Mancini! Here we are, Mancini, Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. It doesn't get any better than that. First off, I want to thank second-generation grappler, producer of Mario Chaos and the Kid, and you know what? My good friend, Paul Perez, the man behind the glass. So let's get that out of the way first. Seated to the left of me, he's like a four-leaf clover. He's hard to find, but he's lucky to have. And that is the Kid, Matt D, here on the Mario Chaos and Kid podcast. Matt, welcome aboard, baby!
Thank you, brother. Glad to be here. I am the 6'1" young prospect, and I'm ready to put some stuff out there.
Mancini, I thought he was talking about a porn movie when he just said that right now. A 6'1" stud prospect. What does that even mean, Mancini?
Well, Big Daddy, nowadays, if you're a good-looking kid, like the kid here, you got some height, you got some weight, you have delusions of grandeur to get into the wrestling ring. But we know what it takes to get into that wrestling ring.
Well, Mancini, it's funny that you should be bringing that up here on the Mario Chaos and Kid podcast. The maiden voyage, as you said, because I was here at the facility last night, circa 1980s, when Mancini took all the students last night, fans. I want you to listen up out there, folks.
Well, I got to tell you, Big Daddy, listen.
Go ahead, Mancini, go ahead.
Listen, as you mentioned, my brother, 32 years, sitting across behind the glass here, Paul Perez, I've known him for 32. I've known you for 34.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, when we got into this facility, we backed off a little bit, just a tad of the old days, because pro wrestling has evolved, Although it's still not badminton, it's a tough business. Rome and I decided to come across a little differently. Like I like to say about Paul Perez, man, if your pinky's out of place, he'll tell you. He gets the finer things in the ring, he notices. But as far as the lead training and the beginning training, we kind of eased off a little bit because we realized that the business evolves. However,
Mancini, I love it when you say it with inflection. Isn't it, Perez? Is it inflection or affliction?
Well,
Matt, is it inflection or affliction?
Well, I got to tell you this. It's both, because I inflicted some punishment last night on these youngsters who 2 Mondays ago came in, and Richard Holiday, premier independent wrestler today.
The consumers are buzzing.
On his way to the WWE one day. He came in here and he cardioed him. He did a bunch of cardio, right? Well, anybody that's been in the ring and is a seasoned pro knows that, cardio ain't it. Up and over, hitting the ropes, that's not it. You got to do the cardio and the bumps. And these rookies didn't know that, so they came out of the ring 2 Mondays ago and said, "Oh, we would like more of that. We really enjoyed it." So as to say, "Hey, you don't teach that." So it kind of insulted me. So I said, "Strap yourselves in, gentlemen. You're going for a ride next Monday." And to make a long story short, after the third drill, they said, "No mas."
You're right, Mancini. They said no mas, because I was here to witness it. You ran those students last night down here at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility from pillar to post. There were a couple of students seen vomiting outside the facility. It brought chills to my spine, Mancini, reminiscing when you whooped my ass circa 1984 at Ken Passarillo's Quest facility.
You know, Perez,
Okay,
he always makes me feel bad.
unbelievable.
He always makes me feel bad when he says that. I feel like I'm responsible
You are
from not becoming a professional wrestler.
No, Mancini, hold on, Mancini. You were responsible for making me wake up and realize that at that point in my life, I did not have the goods to make it. That's what you realized. Never feel bad. I benched damn near 400 pounds at that time, squatted damn near 500 pounds. I was ripped, shredded, jacked. I was like Paul Roma. But it taught me a valuable lesson, Mancini. So I was here to witness it last night, the Monday night training down here at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, folks. It was second to none last night. Mancini is a taskmaster. But let's get on to bigger and better things. And folks, I'd like to get the kid, now seated to the left of me, as I said, folks, here on the podcast, Mario Chaos and the Kid is a blue chipper, a 5-tool athlete, a prospect second to none in the media and in life lessons, and valued employee, I could say. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about at this point. But the kid, who right now is setting up internships at ESPN, WWE, WTNH. Now, kid, I sent you the videos last night from Paradise Alley and what Mancini did to those students. I know someday you aspire to be a professional wrestler. Now listen, you're in tremendous shape. Like I said, you played high school athletics. You were known as an unbelievable athlete. I want the fans out here to know, listen, I just saw you in a photo with Ronda Rousey. It doesn't get any better than that. So, Matt, give the fans here on the Mario Chaos and Kid podcast a little bit about your background and then what you thought about the training videos, perhaps if you have the testicular fortitude to maybe someday get in the ring.
Getting in the ring is not really my thing right now, Big Daddy. Right now, I'm on the media side. I'm behind the screen. I'm watching you guys do all your things in the ring, training the wrestlers. One day, maybe I'll get in there. But right now, I'm still behind that screen on the media with bodyslam.net, working on that.
Bodyslam.net. You know, I'm very familiar with that product, kid. Fans, not only the Mario and Chaos and the Kid podcast, go out and check out the kid's work on bodyslam.net. It's phenomenal. It's over the top. He has a group of writers and staff over there at Body Slam that's second to none. Now, Matt, I was also on a podcast that you started yourself once before. Hey, listen, it doesn't get any better than Mario Chaos and the Kid. And I even called it by the wrong name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you called it a little hot, and you called it by the wrong name. But we rolled with it. We rolled with it.
Well, listen, kid, I got to jerk off the dog to feed the cat. I think we can say that here on podcast. It doesn't matter anymore.
Big Daddy, I don't think you're going to have any problems with the FCC.
I'll get the city controls up here. Paul Perez here to get there. Mancini, Paradise Alley. I don't care. I'll kick their ass. It doesn't matter anymore. They threw us off the air. They threw us off cable. They threw us off YouTube, social media. It doesn't matter anymore. I digress. Mancini, you see, some things never change here at Paradise Alley.
I see that, Big Daddy.
Hey, listen. Oh, wait, I did have a Red Bull. You were going to ask me that, weren't you, man?
I was. Did you have a Red Bull, Big Daddy?
Yeah, I did on the way here. Perez caught me out in the parking lot. But anyway, folks, we're here. The Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast. We have a lot of things to go over. I'd like to thank Diadamo and Tracy Bail Bonds, Big Steve Tracy, for allowing us to come down to the facility. Mario is the CEO of the company. Paul Perez is one of the brass in the front office. Pretty Paul Roma is the head trainer for Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling fans. I don't have to say it. Pretty wonderful. Power and Glory, Young Stallions, Four Horsemen. Paul Perez, second generation grappler. Big Steve Tracy, bail bondsman. Mancini, who was in the ring with every WWE legend you could think of. That's what we're here. We have a lot of things coming up. We have a lot of people to thank. We're going to be running over everything on this podcast, from Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling to other independent groups and to the kids' insight on the happenings in the WWE, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. We're going to cover it all from pillar to post. And the best thing is going to be the road stories from Mario Mancini and Paul Perez. I think I could cough on the podcast too, can't I? Because there's no rules here.
It's a bodily function.
Let's not get into bodily functions around Mancini.
You know, you're absolutely right about that, Big Daddy. You don't want to push me a little too far.
Well, I heard back in the... Well, let's not get crazy. Even though we're on a podcast, listen, Mancini, you and I have a face for radio and a face for podcast. If the women out there right now, between the demographic of 18 and 25, saw the kid, they'd all be running down here to the facility, throwing off their bras and their panties because it doesn't get any better than the kid. But let's get on to what's happening with Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling before we head on to news from the WWE. Coming up, fans, and Matt, I want your insight on the talent because I know you're always at Friday Night Alley fights.
Everyone.
You attend all the Paradise Alley bigger shows that we have at JMMS, the casino, the high school, so on and so forth. Coming up this Saturday, November 17th. You know I don't like to throw dates out there, but I'm going to throw this one out there. Type 1 to none, body slamming diabetes. Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling presents. It's a fundraiser, a non-profit, which you know, Paradise, that's what we're all about. We're all about the non-profits. It improves lives, curing type 1 diabetes. It's for a little girl named Cece. Let's run down some of the card and some of the athletes that are going to be here, Mario and the kid. Hey, it doesn't, listen, that's got a ring to it. Mario, Chaos, and the Kid. And I hope there's one guy out there that's listening that's not offended, because there is somebody, Matt, that's the original.
Well, I have to say, Big Steve Tracy and I met in 1987, and for 31 years, 31 years? We've called each other nothing but kid. That's all we call each other.
So, we're not going to get any heat here with Big Steve Tracy, are we?
I sure hope not.
Wow, talk about scaring the rats off cheesecake, making onions cry. Mancini is showing an 8x10 of yours truly. Boy, I'll tell you, did you say exercise? I thought you said extra fries. Oh. Anyway, let's get on to bigger and better things. Mancini, I'm glad that we're not on a video right now and that it's only audio. But I'm going to go to the kid right now as Mancini continues to... Perez, and I know that you know this, Paul Perez. I'm talking to the man behind the glass. You know that Mancini always wanted to be a juggler. He just didn't have the balls for it. I'm just saying. So, folks, anyway, on to important things. We'll put some of the chicanery aside. We have the kid here for a reason. Because of his knowledge in the business, he's a broadcast journalist, second to none. We are honored to have the kid here. We like to call the Mario Chaos and Kid podcast old school thoughts with new school ideas. So this Saturday, Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, 7 p.m. bell time at JMMS, the tag team champions, the House of Pain, Hakeem Ali and Nick Payne, will be defending the titles this Saturday, the 17th, body slamming for diabetes. Now, kid, give me your prediction, not even prediction because we don't know, it might be a mystery opponent. I know on Friday Night Alley Fights they had a number one contenders match, but give me your breakdown of the tag team champions from Paradise Alley.
I'll tell you, you tell me I have the growth and I have all this potential. You look at the House of Pain, you can compare them to me. Nothing but growth I see there between those two, nothing but flyers in the ring, and you don't expect it.
Well, see, that's the thing about Hakeem and Nick. First off, Hakeem Ali has the largest iron arms in Paradise Alley. Not to be confused with Muhammad Ali. I say it on every broadcast, and I'll say it again. The House of Pain, for their size, kid, they're each over 300 pounds, although Mancini was telling me earlier, Paul Perez also mentioned the same thing to me, that Hakeem is right now training with Roma personally and has lost like 30 or 40 pounds. But with that being said, they're mobile, agile, hostile, and nimbile. They are a combination between The old team, and I know it's going to sound funny here because of their size, but they remind me of a combination, I've said it on the broadcast before, of the Hart Foundation and maybe Jannetty and Michaels. Not in looks, but in pure style, because you don't expect men that size to be so agile. So break it down, kid.
I'll tell you, I call them tanks with Ferrari engines.
I like that. I like tanks with Ferrari engines.
You know, they're big and they're quick. You don't expect it when, you know, they come in. People think, oh, this is going to be a physical match. They get in there and they fly. A couple months ago, Hakeem hit a suicide dive at Mohegan Sun. No one expected that. He comes flying out there. It looked like he broke his neck. No.
Yes, Ali, for such a large man, and I'm glad that you brought up the casino shows. Paradise Alley, we'll just do a little flashback, ran 2 excellent, successful shows at the Mohegan Sun Casino. The talent was second to none in the Uncas Ballroom. Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling presented All or Nothing and Crazy Eights, and the roster and the talent on those shows were unbelievable. And at the time that we were running there, no other company in the country on the Eastern Seaboard was running at the casino. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's one of the feathers in the cap of Paradise Alley. And let's break down the tag team division, because Mancini and Roma are responsible for some of these teams. You have, and I know you saw them on Friday night, and I want your opinion too, kid, on the Filthy Family, which is Big Cal Stevens and Dirtbag Dan. They took on the Pyramids of Power, which we know as Aladdin and Ala Ding Ding. Mancini hit it! Rama Lama, Shama Lama Lama Ding Dong. Hey! You put the ooh mama back into a small child. That is why you are a shitty. Yeah. Oh, it's my man! Well, hey kid, you might be a little too.
Only 18. I don't even know what you guys are singing.
18? Mancini has a jock strap that's older than you, kid.
It's true.
But Mancini, getting back to the tag team division of what we were talking about, the current champions, they've held the belts for over a year, is the House of Pain. We talked about the Filthy Family. They just went over on the Pyramids of Power at Friday Night Alley Fights. So I know I'm assuming, are number 1 contenders, but there's always the tag team that reminds me of the old school, and I'm going to ask Mancini about this one. Zafir Al-Rahihi and Maxim Morozov, led by Abdul Hafu, known as Collusion. They remind me, and Paul Perez was saying the same thing, of the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. So, Mancini, break down Collusion, and will they be going for the tag team titles anytime soon?
Well, of course, as you know, Big Daddy, that they have just gotten together, and they are circa the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, and they are making a run for the tag team titles. I mean, it's something that the House of Pain needs to be concerned about. Although the tag team division in Paradise Alley is starting to expand.
Oh, it is expanding. You talk about the Filthy Family, and you know what? Dirtbag Dan, he's a dirtbag.
Well, listen,
he's a dirtbag. You know that, right?
Well, listen, we have a tag team in the wings.
Aha.
Yeah.
You're right. And I saw one of the partners here last night at the training facility. The new tag team on the horizon. We saw him at Diesel Mania 3. And Mancini, you might be able to comment on this, because I think he kind of, before Big Steve took it to his ass, I think he took it to your ass at Diesel Mania 3. So give me your breakdown, and I'm going to ask the kid about that one.
Well,
break it down on the new tag team.
Well,
Mancini.
here it is. He's 7 foot.
Holy cramoly.
Right? The Meadowlands Monster. So he wanted the old school, because, as you know, I'm the Undertaker's debut match.
Yes, I'm well aware.
And, he took me in the armbar and walked the top rope.
That was unbelievable, Mancini.
Well, the Meadowlands Monster did the same thing.
Mancini, I will say, calling Diesel Mania 3 for the Michael J. D'Angelo Scholarship Foundation and the Michael J. D'Angelo Rumble that night, Big Steve definitely took it to the Meadowlands Monster. And then to see the Meadowlands Monster get on the top rope do the Skywalker a la The Undertaker the same way that he did to you some 25 years earlier, Mancini, it gave me chills to see that in the Rumble at Dieselmania 3. Now, kid, the kid is showing me, as we speak right now, is showing me a video of that. Unbelievable. The kid. Now, I want to ask you this question. Seeing that you know a lot about your history, you may be young, but I know that you do your homework. You saw that live with the Meadowlands Monster and Mancini. Did you see the original between Mancini and The Undertaker? And if you did, break it down, kid. That's why you're here.
I have not seen the original.
What? How does that happen? How does that happen that you did not see the original with Mancini and The Undertaker?
I have not seen the original.
Mancini, that's his first homework assignment. To see Mancini and The Undertaker and compare it side by side with the Meadowlands Monster. But anyway, that's what's coming up. We're breaking down, like Mancini said, the tag team division. Big Jim Anderson and the Meadowlands Monster. Kid, I want your opinion of that unbelievably awesome-sized tag team.
It's got size and it's got power. I would compare it to Undertaker and Kane, the Brothers of Destruction. I know I was talking to both of them a couple weeks ago, working out some moves and stuff like that. They do have some power behind them. I wouldn't want to mess with them. I think they can push around the House of Pain.
Well, that's an excellent observation. For as agile as the House of Pain is, the Monster and Big Jim are just enormous. Big Jim's coming back from surgery.
Torn ACL.
Torn ACL. See, Matt, that's why you're here. Kid, that's why you're the kid. Because you're a blue chipper. You're a five-tool player. You are the prospect that's going to carry me and Mancini over the top. Hey, listen, for 35 years I've been riding coattails. I'm going to ride yours, kid, all the way to the WWE. So anyway, also at Type 1 to None, Body Slamming Diabetes. Again, folks, it's an unbelievable cause. I have a PSA before we'll wrap up the first part of the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast. We're going to do it in two segments, folks. This is going to be an unbelievable podcast. You have the credibility and knowledge of former WWF, WWE star Mario Mancini. You have the experience of a jack of all trades and yours truly, the Guardian of Chaos. And then you have the social media, new school thoughts of the kid, and behind the scenes, a guy who was in the WWE himself along and was Mancini's tag team partner. And before I get on to Type 1 to None, Body Slamming Diabetes, I have a story that I want to bring up that I'm sure Mancini and Perez may not be happy about, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Folks, you can see it on YouTube. It's an infamous match. I'm going to have Mancini, who's over here. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. Thank God we're not on TV because people always...
Big Daddy, you're not bringing up that 1991 New Haven Coliseum match, are you?
I am bringing up Mario Mancini and Paul Perez versus the Nasty Boys. It's on YouTube, folks. Go out there and see it. Go out there, hit the like button. Mancini, look, the kid's going to YouTube right now. Mancini, break it down as the kid views the Nasty Boys, Knobs and Sags against Mancini and Perez.
I got the stinker.
But that's all. You can't just say the stinker. That could be your ex-girl for all I know. I don't know. I don't want to get too personal here.
Well, let's put it this way. There was a spot in the match where they both raised their arms and they crammed my face in their armpits, and it's called the stinker. And Perez stood out there and said, "Thank God that wasn't me."
Mancini, at that time, did you say Capoots? Because I know Sags and Knobs were notorious.
You know, all I know is Perez is true to who he is then than he is now, because we were standing in the corner of the ring in front of 18,000 people, and they were walking out to the ring to their music, and I just looked over at Perez and I went, "I hate those guys." And he went, "Right." All he said was, "Right." Because all you get out of Perez is one word at a time. Yep, right.
Well, he's a very smart man. A man of few words, but he didn't have to take the stinker.
No, he
didn't have to take the stinker. It remind me someday as we get rolling in Mario Chaos and Kid podcast how I avoided the stink face from Rikishi. We'll get onto that another story another time on another podcast. Right now we're talking about Paradise Alley, body slamming diabetes. Let's get back to the kid. I just wanted to throw out that story with the Nasty Boys. What did you think of that, kid? Did you get a chance to see the Mancini taking the stinker?
I have not seen that
listen,
match.
Let me verify this.
The first thing I'll do when I go home, I'll look up both of those matches.
I want you to look them up because
Both of them.
It's not the first time Mancini has taken a stinker from somebody. I don't want to get personal though. What are you looking at me like that for, Mancini? I didn't say anything.
Back to bodily functions.
Mancini, listen. Oh boy, you can't make it up. Listen, you got to improve your memory, Mancini, by doing unforgettable things. But let's get back to this Saturday, because who knows when this will be posted? Who knows when this will be on the air? We're here live, folks, at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility, located at 662 Co Avenue, East Haven, Connecticut, or as Vinnie Penn likes to say on WELI, Staven. So let's get back to body slamming again. I want to wrap this up like a little bow. I got to make Perez laugh. That's why he's here. Also this Saturday, United States champion Sergeant Murray will be in action. Intercontinental champion, rookie sensation, Roma-trained, snot-nosed kid, as Mancini would call him, Zachariah Gibbs will be in action.
You got lucky.
Well, see, folks, you may not know what Mancini's talking about when he got lucky. Zachariah Gibbs, the rookie sensation, who may even be younger than the kid, pinned Mancini right in the middle of Mohegan Sun.
You got lucky!
How did he get lucky? It was a small package. Well, that's not the first time you've heard that. Oh, man, I'll tell you, Mancini, I didn't mean to say
Big
that.
Daddy, you're right about that!
Oh boy! So anyway, I want to continue to get on to the most important thing that Paradise Alley does before we get on to news about the WWE. I know the kid is used to being the star of his own podcast, but here with Mancini and myself, that's never going to happen, kid. It's going to be the three of us. We're going to get Perez on here. We're going to run through here. We're going streaking, I think, right here in the middle of the ring. Fans, come on down if you want to go streaking with Mario Chaos and the kid. And I think I can say that. We've been thrown off YouTube. We've been thrown off cable TV. We're not allowed on pay-per-view. We were thrown off internet radio. We were thrown off local cable access. Now we've been fined by the FCC, but now we are taking over the podcast world. Also, coming up, body slamming for diabetes. We talked about all the champions that will be there. Making their debut, Mr. All Day, Kenny Bangle. The diligent one, Corey Dillinger. Obviously, the rising AV, Adrian Vine, will be there. The flamboyant one, Kenny Roberts. I'm Rick James, bitch. Let's get jiggy with it. So we have listen, I want to, Matt, since you're going to be there, give me the breakdown of the talent. Again, Roma likes to keep everything behind closed doors when it comes to posting the card. So although we have a lot of the talent, and it's rumored, maybe Mancini or Perez can verify this since they are the brass, is Richard Holiday going to be here on November 17th, Mancini?
Well, Richard Holiday's going to try to do a double shot. Richard Holiday got the blessing from the front office
Very nice.
to enter into a new venture with a new company.
Well, I think fans want to hear about that. We are aware of that, but why don't you break down
Well,
what you're
I
talking
really
about?
can't divulge, and I wouldn't do that to Holiday, what company. You know why, Big Daddy? I'm going to tell you why.
I get it.
It's a run-in, and nobody knows he's going to be there.
Well, then we'll keep that under wraps. We're not going to expose anything here at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. Again, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Is that the dust in here, Mancini? What's going on in here? So, kid.
I put some ragweed under your microphone there, Big Daddy.
I think it's working, Mancini. Before we get on to other things, I have something here. So that, folks, that's the card that's coming up this Saturday. Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, JMMS, 7 p.m. bell time, November 17th. Type 1 to none, body slamming diabetes. It's for a girl called Cece. And the four of us here have put this together, and I just want to read a quick PSA and our thoughts on the nonprofit, the fundraiser coming up. It's very near and dear to our hearts. The kid helped me out with this, Paul Perez, and Mancini also. And this is just something that I want everyone to ponder out there. If it sounds like I'm reading it, it's because I am. I'm just saying. I'll say that to say this, Mancini. I wonder about scientific research. Millions upon millions of dollars are raised every year by the wealthy, working class, and the not-so-fortunate for debilitating and life-altering diseases such as cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, MS, MD, and many other so-called incurable diseases. Where is all that money going? How is it being used? Where are the results and statistics? Nothing is ever really that improved. All of the hardworking people who are involved and committed, why isn't anything improving? Costs are either outpriced or not available. Getting approval is all time-consuming and a fortune. Yet again, nothing is cured or held at bay. We can create weather, raise taxes, put a man on the moon, create the internet, iPods, Blackberries. But with all the hard work, money raised for research, and education for these diseases, we can't make our sick any better or give them hope of survival. And what we ask here at Mario Chaos and the Kid is what gives? What gives? And I want everyone to think about that for 30 seconds, because these nonprofits that we do, whether it be Camp Rising Sun, Never Give Up, whether it be for the ASRC, where Paradise Alley raised thousands of dollars, whether it be the Project 22 suicide prevention for our veterans, training service dogs, all kinds of fundraisers for youth organizations, and for all these so-called incurable diseases. What gives, Mancini? And you know, this is supposed to be fun, but when it comes to the nonprofits and they hit close to home and what we're doing with this company, I like to bring up things like that hit close to home.
Big Daddy, you don't want my honest opinion.
Listen, the kid said it here, and I do want your honest opinion. The kid said it before we started this podcast. This is not just professional wrestling. This is sports, pro wrestling, and life. So I do want to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, you know my background in education. You know, needless to say, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm no dummy. So my philosophy and my take on this is, with cancer, with diabetes, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry. People profit off of illness. So if they do cure it, it's going to put a lot of people out of work. So you know what? Why bother? That's my view on it. When it comes to serious illnesses, you know, the metformin, all these diabetic medications, the Januvia, the glypramide, for cancer, the radiation, all these things, they have wings in the hospitals for them. You think they're going to close those wings?
It's valid points, Mancini, and that's why it was such a topic of discussion before the podcast and while we're on the air. And I just want to show folks that, put the chaos, the chicanery, all the joking and fun. We're here to have fun, but there's also times if you don't give back, like Booker T said at Dieselmania last year about Paul Perez and Mancini himself and Big Steve and Paul Roma, true carpenters in this business, laying the groundwork, giving back to society for special causes. Because if you don't, what are we doing this for? Because it's certainly not for money. But anyway, off that PSA, I want to thank the people for letting me bring that to their attention and for Paradise Alley to bring that up. Let's get on to More news, and this is where the kid becomes very, very special because he is the blue chipper. He is the one. We talked about what's happening this Saturday. Folks, go to ParadiseAlleyProWrestling.com. You'll get all the news on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and you'll see what's going on with Paradise Alley. And remember, folks, Paradise Alley has 4 things that no other company or organization has in this country when it comes to professional wrestling. And that's 4 former WWF, WCW, WWE stars that worked for Vince McMahon. And that's Pretty Paul Roma, Paul Perez, Mario Mancini, and Big Steve Tracy. I say it every time. I'll continue to say it. I'll lend the credibility to it because that's what happens here at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. On to other things. You know who we didn't even talk about, kid? Because this is what happens in Maiden Voyage, kid. It's a little overwhelming when we get together. Mancini, Perez, and myself, we could talk all day. Who we didn't mention yet, and he is the face of the company. From Rutgers University, he's an attorney. He can slam dunk a basketball. I call him a new version of Pampero Firpo. That's right, go out and Google Pampero Firpo.
I don't even know who that is.
Big Daddy, what's his last name?
Pampero Firpo. Okay? But it is the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Heavyweight Champion who took it from the former champion, Showtime Marcel Williams, the new champ, Mick Drake. Kid, I've seen you in all kinds of videos. I know you go to all the live events. You've been over 100 live WWE events. Your knowledge at your youthful age is second to none. That's why we trust to have you here on the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast because of what you bring to the table. And we're going to get on to that. And there it is. Paul Perez is second to no one. He brought up a picture of Pampero Firpo. And if that doesn't look like Mick Drake with the hair out, I want your opinion on the current champion, Mick Drake. You know he was NXT trained. Break it down for the fans, kid. Let's hear it.
I was talking to Mick Drake at Dieselmania 3. We were talking, because I'm going to law school. He's an attorney, so we were talking about that. He's a great guy. In the ring, you don't want to mess with him. He'll suplex the shit out of you in the ring. He'll throw you out of there. If you're looking for another Suplex City 2, you got him right there. NXT trained. I've seen what he's done in NXT. We talked about that a little bit. I think he's a great champion, and I love what he's doing.
Well, Mick is definitely the current face of Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. And now his matches, first off, his match at Crazy Eights against Showtime Marcel Williams, where he should have won the belt that night. Mancini came out, as you can see on the video that's posted on YouTube, and set up the rematch for Dieselmania 3 between Showtime and Mick Drake. Now, you were at both events, kid. Break it down, the feud between Mick Drake and Showtime, how he won in the rematch, and then I want you to talk about his feud with Richard Holliday, who I know that you know very well.
All 3 of them I'm very good friends with. I've interviewed 2 out of the 3 of them, trying to get Mick Drake for an interview so I can get all of them. All champions in their own respect. They're great in the ring. Even better guys outside the ring. That's what makes them so special. You can have a great guy in the ring, but it's about the personality outside. I'm very close with all 3 of them. Richard, I talk to almost every day. So I do have a connection with them, but at the end of the day, whatever happens in that ring stays in that ring. But great guys. Mike Drake kicked Marcel's ass so bad that he had to leave.
Well, I will say the 2 matches between Showtime and Mick Drake were classics. And the feud that Mick Drake has been having with Holliday in several different organizations, that is second to none. You have 2 future big-time athletes, in my opinion, both guys that have been under contract or currently under contract, and I could see them going back and forth for the Paradise Alley heavyweight title. Now, you've seen some of their matches. Break down the difference in styles between Holliday and Drake. Familiar in build, but different styles.
Holliday likes a little slower paced match. I think Mick Drake likes a little bit quicker. I think he likes getting up and kind of getting busy, not in the way you guys would
No,
think.
no, I get it.
Not in the way you guys would
I
think.
get it.
Not in that busy way. But I think McDrake likes a quicker pace. Holiday is more built around counters, I believe. McDrake is more of a physical, in your face. Holiday likes to counter. So if I had to give an edge, I would give it to Holiday.
That's an excellent breakdown, kid. Another thing I wanted to ask you too, while we have you here, because I know you study countless hours of videotape. The feud, and we saw it at Dieselmania 3 also. And fans, if you want to go out there and see the Paradise Alley product, not only on ParadiseAlleyProWrestling.com, but go to Go Pro Wrestling on YouTube, and you'll see the last several shows from Paradise Alley. Unbelievable. How about the Dieselmania 3 matchup between Richard Holiday, who you're going to see in MLW. You folks know that he's going to be in MLW, national TV, against Pro Wrestling Savior, one of my personal favorites, Death by Elbow, JT Dunn.
JT Dunn, I actually just watched a video the other night. He got Death Valley driven through a table at ringside. JT Dunn, Richard Holiday, both guys built on counters in the ring. I think they had a great back and forth match, and that's what builds a match. If they're going back and forth and they're flowing off of each other, that's going to be great. If you got two guys in there who don't really know each other, you're not going to get much of a story in the ring. But you get guys like JT Dunn, Richard Holiday, they could tell a story and they could flow off of each other.
Excellent breakdown.
Big Daddy, I must interject here and give the kid my condolences.
Well, go ahead, man.
As I am a 2010 graduate from the Massachusetts School of Law and successfully passed the 2012 bar exam, I give you my condolences for your future endeavors. You will be tortured. Good luck in law school.
Well, Mancini, on that note, I'm going to say, I know a funeral when I see one, a rat when I smell one, and a bad moon when it rises. Hey, is a criminal lawyer a redundancy, Mancini? I'm just asking a question.
A criminal lawyer, a redundancy.
Yes. It's just a question. Hey, listen, by talking to the kid, I'm as confused as a baby at Hooters. He's busier than the blow-up doll at a frat party. You know I got to use the old standbys, Mancini. Those have been heard everywhere. But it's true, kid. And listen, now I sent this to Mr. Perez and Mancini. What the hell, Mancini? How did you get that naked picture of the Guardian of Chaos? Whoa! Wait. Listen, I know Peppa's listening, and she's going to say he's at it again. Here we go. Thank God he's not at least on TV anymore. This is what I wanted to ask. Does anybody got a Halls or a Mentholyptus or something?
Well, Big Daddy, you walk around your whole life with a Halls.
Well, that's because, I got the massive neck. Got the brain of a dehydrated baby. Oh, wait. Or was that the brain of a turnbuckle? We could still use those, right, Nancy?
Absolutely.
Well, there's three types of people in this world. Those who don't know what happened, those who wonder what happened, and people like the kid, Mario, and Chaos that make things happen. But let's get on to other news. I just want to say, kid, those were excellent breakdowns of JT Dunn and Holiday and Showtime and Mick Drake. What I want to ask you about, I'd like to ask Mancini about this, maybe even Perez from behind the glass, if we can hear him, maybe he even can throw in his 2 cents. What is your opinion on the upcoming, well, I guess it's a done deal already, the over $1 billion television deal with Fox in the WWE? Let's get on to some big news here that I know the kid knows a little bit about what he's talking about. I saw a picture of you around the Rousey, too. How the hell does that happen, kid?
I travel all over the place for WWE. This year I've been to over 6 pay-per-views for WWE, but I go to WrestleMania every year. I was actually backstage at WrestleMania.
And what did you learn, kid? Because Mancini has also been back there. What did you learn?
Can't do too much talking back there. I saw Nia Jax getting her makeup done, told her to kick Alexa Bliss's ass. She did. I didn't really have to tell Rhonda to kick anyone's ass because she's already set on that mode.
Well, listen,
she's on default.
I have to agree with that point, and this is where I like to get Mancini's viewpoint on the crossovers. Right now, currently in the WWE, you have Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey as your champions. Lesnar's the Universal Champion. Rousey's the Raw's Women's Champion. 2 crossover stars from pro football and MMA, UFC stars that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that are the champions right now. And I love Rousey. I think she's adapted well to the game because of her background and training. But with Lesnar, you have a champion that doesn't show up. He's taking the spotlight away from other workers because they want Lesnar to hold on to that Universal Championship for when he faces Cormier for the UFC heavyweight title.
That match, I'm told, is not till March, so he's going to be holding on to it till WrestleMania. Lesnar's working Survivor Series. He's not working TLC. He's expected to work the Royal Rumble and then WrestleMania.
So that's my whole point.
He's got 3 dates until WrestleMania, but then he drops it there after Cormier.
Is that what you think? You think Lesnar's dropping the title at WrestleMania?
He'll drop it at WrestleMania, I'm sure. Well, Vince wants the money. That's all. It's about, like you said before, the $1 billion deal with Fox.
Well, that's going to change the business as we know it.
Oh, it's going to change everything, especially having Ronda Rousey there. They build everything around her. You can't forget about Shinsuke Nakamura either. 3-1-1 in the MMA over in Japan.
Well, so, Nakamura is a cut above most athletes.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe he's being booked the right way.
Not at all.
But this is where I like to get Mario's opinion because of his credibility and his near 10-year run in the WWE and then his successful business running Paradise Alley. Mario, I like whether it was Ted Arcidi, who you trained back in the day as a crossover athlete, whether it's Lesnar nowadays, Ronda Rousey, who's amazing. I want to hear from a veteran who was there 6 months before the original WrestleMania what you think of all the crossover stars, whether it was Mike Tyson or Ted Arcidi or Refrigerator Perry, Lawrence Taylor, Steve McMichael, now the UFC folks, Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey. Give me your opinion, Mario, after working for Vince for nearly a decade on the crossover athletes.
Well, let me split it up for you first. When you're talking about Lawrence Taylor and all these guys that made spot appearances for WrestleMania, they have no credibility at all. They were just there for their name and their appearance. Now, when you go over a Ronda Rousey or anybody else that crosses over, I give them credit as I'd give credit to anybody who hasn't crossed over. If you can handle it in the ring and you have talent to do it, God bless you. You know, no matter where you come from. The thing that I'm concerned about is this $1 billion deal with Fox because it's going to ruin professional wrestling more than it's already ruined.
Now, let me ask you, now hold on to that point, and this is why the three of us are here. In your opinion, tell the young fans out there, the 18 to 30 demographic, when you say what you think that looks like a dinner roll from behind, Mancini, that photo that you're showing me. I hate to get off subject here. Boy, this is the problem with podcasting and radio is you never really know what we're doing here at the studio.
Not being on TV.
Not exactly.
Not
See, kid, you
TV.
get it. But kid, you're going to be on TV. Didn't I see a photo of you on the WTNH?
He's got the jib for it.
On a scale from 0 to 10, this kid's an 11. I mean,
He's got the jib for it.
But let's get back to Mancini, the crossover stars of what we were talking about, because I in particular want you to tell this story, because there were crossover stars that stayed in the business. Lesnar, for example, Ronda Rousey, Steve McMichael, Wahoo McDaniel, Ernie Ladd, not Lyle Alzado, although he did try his hand, but people that were
Listen,
crossover
Tito
athletes.
Santana,
Santana,
Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
Hacksaw, correct.
Paul Orndorff, Ron Simmons, Jim Neidhart.
Right, it goes on and on and on. But I want you to tell
George Wells, although press George Wells, it's like the shits.
Mancini, tell the Ted Arcidi story. For those who don't know Ted Arcidi, he held the world bench press championship at the time Mancini was training him, 705 pounds, and the guy that was training me at the time, you remember our good friend, strongman Kenny Fontano, who benched 660, but Arcidi beat his record, and you trained both those guys. Tell the folks the story about McMahon and Ted Arcidi.
Well, Arcidi was sent to Tony Altomare by Vince McMahon. He was sent to Passerell's Quest. So, of course, Altomare had other things to do, so he went, work with the guy. So, I was teaching him how to bump. And he said, no bumps. Vince said, no bumps. And I said, oh yeah? Vince said, no bumps. So I got out of the ring, went behind the counter, and I called the office. And I asked for Vince, and he wouldn't get on the phone. And when I said it was about Ted Arcidi, I'm right in the middle of training him, he picked up the phone. I said, Vince. He went, what? I said, he said, no bumps. He said, I never said that. I said, thank you. So I said, Ted, you got to take bumps. This is a guy, Edwards Food Warehouse was in the next parking lot. He'd go and get a 48-ounce can of Chef Boyardee spaghetti, ravioli or spaghetti meatballs. Sit on that brown couch with the can lid open with a fork just eating it. And I go, Ted, what the hell are you eating? He's like, cobs. I'm eating cobs. So now Altamar goes, is he ready? I go, no, he's not. He's not ready. They want him at TV. So we go to Poughkeepsie, and I see Strongbow. And he goes, is he ready? I go, no, he's not. He's not ready.
Now, folks, again, on YouTube, to go with Mario was talking about, you can see one of the matches between Arcidi and Mancini on YouTube.
Why? Because I said, if you want him over, I'm the only one that can work with him.
Exactly, Mancini. And that's what people fail to realize. And I want to get the kids' definition of this, and then I'm going to break it down of what the definition was in the 80s as compared to now, how this younger generation is insulted by it. But it's not an insult, because Mario and Paul and Big Steve and several other, Mark Thomas, so on and so forth, the term jobber and what it means to you, kid. I want you to break down the term jobber, then I'm going to give my 2 cents, and then I'm going to let Mario explain it, because there seems to be a confusion between the younger generation and the older generation on what the term jobber is and what it means in the business. So break it down, kid, what you think in your opinion.
In my opinion, the jobber obviously puts the bigger guy over, but I think they're very key to every day. Even in sports, you have those bad teams that are just getting, beat every day, but they do help. They make the other person better. Even though they're getting beat all the time, they're bettering themselves, and they're also bettering the people around them. And they have to overcome more than all the other wrestlers, because they know they're going in there and they're losing every single night. So that's more to persevere than just a regular winner.
No, that's an excellent observation, and I'm surprised at your cerebral answer. Google it, folks, in case you don't know what cerebral means. This is the way that it was explained to me by Mario and Paul, and from what I know of being in the business for so many years, especially back in the 80s and 90s, and even into the 2000s. There seems to be a misnomer in this day and age. A jobber to someone is someone who's a piece of shit. Someone who's no good, doesn't know what they're doing, not properly trained, is a loser, deserves to be there. That may be what the younger generation thinks. I could be wrong by that, because you came up with a very educated answer. But the term back when Mr. Perez and Mario and everybody else, our generation was in the WWF, was, you can call it enhancement talent, but you're there to put the star over. And in Mario's case, and a lot of other people's case, the technical so-called jobber was a better worker than the star they were working with. And they request to work with that so-called jobber or that enhancement talent, because that talent knows how to get someone over. Mario tells a great story about him and putting over the honky-tonk man. I remember in my career and the different things that I've done, working with Terry Funk or Mick Foley or Jim the Anvil Neidhart or Yoko, who all said to me, hey, kid, you know what? Yeah, I said, kid, you made it easy. I want to work with you every time I come here. Not because we weren't good, but because you made them look better. It's about getting the other person over. And Mario knows that better than anyone, because he was one of the best at it. That's what a true jobber is. A lot of times Mario was better than the superstar that he was in the ring with. And I would like Mario to tell this one particular story about working with Wayne Ferris, the honky-tonk man, Mario.
Well, I just saw it was Triple H. I saw a picture of Triple H on Instagram. He tore his pec. Grotesque picture.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Wayne did the same thing. And it was close to WrestleMania, and they're like, you got to get out there. He's like, I can't even move. How am I going to get out there? He goes, I don't trust anybody to go out there. I'm going to hurt myself even more. And I was sitting pretty close to him, and he's just kind of thinking. He made eye contact with me, and he looked at Chief. He goes, I'll go out there if you put me out there with Mancini. I know I'll be okay. So I went out there with him. The issue was the shake, rattle, and roll. To make sure somebody's going to go, the timing is perfect on it. Because if he starts to go and the person goes the other way just slightly, it would have tore his pec more.
Right, with the torn pec. Exactly.
Right. So he had to make sure he is with a pro. You know what I mean? I tell everybody at the end of my career between 90 and 92, at that point I really just was fed up with the position I had. I was telling people how I was going to put them over. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's respect, though, and that's what I want to convey to the fans out there, because this podcast is different than any other podcast that you're going to listen to because of what we bring to the table, the four of us here, of what we bring to the table, different aspects, and the credibility and experience. Yes, there's a ton of podcasts out there. Let me run them down. Eric Bischoff, Tony Schiavone, Taz is outstanding, Busted Open Radio on Sirius XM, Bruce Pritchard, Something to Wrestle With, Conrad Thompson is at the very top of this industry, and hey, next year we may be at StarCast, because, kid, don't think I got you off the hook here, because you're not the only one that has notes. I have notes from even all the way back to All In. I got notes from last night's Monday Night Raw. We're going to go over it. But these are the stories, and that's what's so integral about having Mancini here and having Paul Perez as our producer behind the glass, because what these two can bring is something that I can't bring. I tried as a wrestler, couldn't cut the mustard, was sidetracked as a corrections officer, children, family, bounty hunter, the whole 9 yards, physical limitations. I knew my limitations. But I tried my hand at promoting, managing, selling tickets, setting up the ring, sweeping floors, commentary, broadcasting, and doing the bumps. And fortunately enough, I will be joining, just to make it on a little personal note, some of our fellow, how could I say it, fellow stars, although I'm no star, in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame coming up in 2019. I'm very proud of that. You know who I owe it to? I owe it to Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling for bringing me back into the business. It's been 35 years.
Yeah, kid, Big Daddy is a 2019 inductee into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Who knew that?
Joe Bruin.
I'm just saying it, unbelievable. And listen, there's a lot of other people I could think of being there. But as we get on into 2019 and we get through the holidays, and we'll be talking about FanFest 7, All Access Entertainment, all the stars that have been up there. Folks, and if you want to hear Mancini, go out to the In Your Head podcast, Irish Whip podcast. You will hear this guy tell stories second to none. Now that we're here on this podcast, so let's.
You know, I hate to. I hate to talk about myself, but I was in such shock that
I love when you talk about yourself.
In Your Head Wrestling voted. I was the 2014 podcast of the year.
Listen, man,
I didn't even know.
In Your Head is a great.
I didn't even
podcast.
know.
You've been on there what, 3 times? So anyway, we're going to get on to some big time news. I like to. This is what we do around here, kid. This is what we do on Mario and Chaos. We jump all over the place. We tie it together in a little bow. What are we coming up on time, Paul Perez?
59 minutes.
59 minutes. It flew by like it was 10 minutes because of our chicanery. So this is what we're gonna do here, because this is where the kid is so valuable on this first show. Because it was just within the last 24 hours, I'd like to quickly bring up some of the WWE Monday Night Raw. I know Mancini does not watch the product, so he's going to more or less be silent through this segment unless he has something silly to say, which we encourage. But when you're Mancini and Perez, you don't really watch the product anymore. I only watch it if we have connections, and hopefully pretty soon we'll be watching some of the people here from Paradise Alley. What I want to know is, did you see Strowman last night destroy the tag team battle royal?
Hang on.
What are they doing with this guy?
Hang on.
What are they doing? You better get some hands, kid.
Here's my problem with it. You buried the entire tag team division to put a guy over, and when was the last time he had a big pay-per-view win?
No, it's a point well taken. The first thing I thought about last night is Strowman came in, and I get that he's a monster, but he came in and he destroyed all your top tag teams, so it lends no credibility to the tag team division on Raw. And what I want to see is, I want to see Strowman and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's back. He looks unbelievable. That's a matchup that I want to see. I think McIntyre, and I want your opinion, it's going to take over where Roman was left off. Tell me, kid.
That's where he was. We had an exclusive on BodySlam.net a couple months ago that I was told by one of my sources that Drew McIntyre's set for a build. We're in the midst of it right now. Drew McIntyre's ready to go. Him and Strowman and Rollins are in the front lines for Universal title shot.
Well, you know what, kid? You got so many sources, you have to outsource your sources. Now, let me ask you this question. Speaking of Seth Rollins, this is something that I learned about your history through the media, that you had quite the banter with Seth freaking Rollins and the legend, who Mancini and Perez know very well, who I had a chance to confer with. He's an unbelievable man, Jim Cornette. Why don't you tell the fans out there about your social media interaction and your hundreds of thousands of views between Seth Rollins and Jim Cornette and the kid?
We had our most viewed article that I wrote. I actually edited it. It was about Jim Cornette talking about how good Seth Rollins was, and we actually had both of them talk about it under our article in the comment section on Twitter, and the views on it took off. We had hundreds of thousands of views on it, retweets, likes, everything. It really took off, and that article got us in the top 25 most grossing website.
Mancini, are you listening to that? The kid? And you know what? This is how smart the kid is. Not only is he going to law school, and that article with Seth Rollins and Jim Cornette, unbelievable. He told me before the podcast that he was reading a book about anti-gravity. And he found it very hard to put it down. Very smart kid here, Mancini. Anti-gravity book.
Well, Big Daddy, I like to say a person like the kid is nothing but a res ipsa loquitur.
Said, come and say, what? What was that, Mancini?
That's a term in torts. It's from a case from a flour bag falling on the head of a person, and he sued. And there was no one around and nobody on the roof. So the bag of flour falls on the guy's head. Nobody's around!
Wow, Mancini, that's why you're here!
The guy gets hurt, right? And he sues the bakery. And the bakery has a big smile on her face because nobody knows. But the judge said, bakery, bag of flour, res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself.
Well, see, kid, this is what you get here on Mario Chaos and the Kid. This is what you will be learning in your future as an attorney. This is what we have here on Mario Chaos and the Kid. Hey, you know what I say? Velcro. What a ripoff. I'm just saying. Let's see. Mancini, this is why you add credibility. Not only do you get wrestling knowledge, you are actually schooling the kid while we're at school. It doesn't get any better than that. Let's get back on to what we were talking about. We were talking about Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. I want to get your opinion on Nakamura against Seth Rollins. And I want to know why the brand split, in my opinion, is not working.
Well, the brand split...
It's not working.
The brand split in the beginning was meant to make more money, to have more pay-per-views, and it also split up the viewership more. Because if you had, say you had all of them on one show, and they bounce back and forth between Raw and SmackDown, you're not going to get as much viewership.
But kid, and Perez and I were talking about this. You're watering down the product. You got Monday Night Raw, you got Tuesday Night SmackDown, you got Wednesday Night NXT, you got 205 Live, you have Impact Wrestling, you have Ring of Honor, you have Hollywood Wrestling that's got a TV deal on Nessun, you have MLW, Major League Wrestling. I mean, your Lucha Underground is unbelievable. You have so much wrestling on there that I'm afraid, even though right now the business is booming, and if you're a talent, you should be able to hook on somewhere, but I think it's a little watered down, and the brand split. I mean, there's too many titles. I don't think they know what they're doing.
There are a lot of titles. I think what really killed them is opening up the UK division.
That's another thing.
They opened up that. Now they got tag titles over there, women's title, a men's title. They have everything over there now. Then they came out with the North American Championship for the NXT roster. They have so much going on right now. They're falling over themselves.
And another thing that I would like to get your opinion on, and I would like to get Mancini's opinion on that, if we can get him. Look, Mancini's on the other side of the ring. Folks, I wish you were here to see this. The Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling facility, I can make it akin to the old Tampa Sportatorium back in the day, or maybe the old TBS studios down there in Atlanta. It's second to none. You have the Paradise Alley banner up here, the Mancini New England Hall of Fame, Old Glory, the Titantron, and the bell, as you can say, because we're almost ready to wrap it up. But what I want to quickly talk about before we wrap it up, because it's very controversial, we don't talk about things just wrestling related. We could talk about a whole bunch of other things, but I want to close out on this. I want to bring up what happened in Saudi Arabia, the 10-year deal between the Saudi Arabians and the United States and the WWE. And I want to bring up, and I want to get your opinion on Crown Jewel, seeing what happened to the at the UN over there, where that reporter from the Post was brutally murdered, and what has happened after that. I want to talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole thing is obviously the money.
Well.
Yeah, the whole thing for Vince McMahon is obviously the money. But the thing is, they're going to have a lot of superstars pull out of that. Daniel Bryan pulled out of it, John Cena pulled out of it, and there were a lot of superstars that didn't want to go over there, but WWE offered them more money. WWE offered John Cena a second offer to go over there, and it was a couple million for him to work it. He said no.
Well, listen, it's a touchy subject. Mancini's rolling his eyes at me right now. Folks, you can't see this. The body language is unbelievable. Before we go, Mancini, I want you to throw your 2 cents in here and then wrap up the first maiden voyage of the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast. Crown Jewel, Saudi Arabia. And I'm not talking about the camel toe races or the camel jockey races. It's a touchy subject, Mancini. I don't want to get too political.
Well, Big Daddy, you know I'm brutally honest. And as,
you are brutally honest.
And as you say on my podcasts, on my interviews, whether it's In Your Head Wrestling or just another wrestling podcast, and there's a few others I did out there. It's all on YouTube. Everybody can listen to it. I'm very candid and very honest, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you that I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what the Crown Jewel is. I have no idea who got murdered. I have no idea about any of that. I have no clue. The first time I've ever heard about it was tonight when you just said it.
Well, Mancini, there's two rules in life. Never give out all the information.
What's the other rule?
That's it.
Oh.
Listen, seeing that we caught Mancini off guard here with current affairs, I want you right now, kid, to wrap it up. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media, where we can see the kid, what's coming up, what you got going on. Put it out there, kid.
Going on this weekend, obviously I'm going to be at the Body Slam event, Type 1 to None. This Sunday I'll be watching Survivor Series. Obviously all my articles will be up on bodyslam.net. You can head over there. We have everything from MMA, WWE, ROH, Impact, PAPW, any wrestling or combat sport, you name it, we got it. We're trying to add more sports. We might be doing a name switch. Might be switching over to the domain that I own, Open Table Sports. We're trying to get that off the ground. But I do travel a lot for all different types of sports and events. So you can follow me to see where I'm at on Twitter, Degnan_Matt. And then on Instagram to see all my pictures with all the stars that I meet. Matt, 2 underscores, and then Degnan, Degnan. I'll be doing more for PAPW. And as Big Daddy said, I'm interning at ESPN and WWE. I'm a statistician, analytics person for ESPN. So back to the whole law school thing, I might be switching my major.
Nice, Mancini.
I might be switching my major anyway because ESPN right now has a job for me, being a stats and analytics person. So it's all up in the air right now.
I'd say that's a pretty smart move to switch gears from law school to that. That would be a very smart idea, because once you write your first brief, you gotta hope your stomach's not full. Do you know, kid, that I was in the computer lab in law school during the second research and writing course where you had to write an appellate court brief and argue it in front of the Supreme Court justices? She passed out right in the computer lab. She took a bump right there. Boom. I just looked down and went, oh, well. But as you would say, Big Daddy, I'll say that to say this.
Wait, I got one more question.
Go ahead.
Because people may not know this because they can't see it right now, but if they know anything about Mario Mancini, are you not a big Superman fan, and that's the way you live your life? You have the tattoo on your physical being. Just before we go, and I'll end it off with this quote, why Superman in your life, Mancini? Explain it to the fans before we get out of here.
Because I like to speak the truth, and as rare as you can get it, especially in the field of law that I've been in 23 years, it's very rare that anyone would get this in life. But I like to live the truth, and from time to time, I'd like to get some justice, and not for myself, for other people. But like I said, justice is very hard to come by. And you know what? A lot of people go to law school because they really believe in justice until they find out the reality of that. There really isn't a lot of justice in this world. It's almost, saying life isn't fair. And you know what? Life is not fair.
Well, I spent 25 years behind the walls with the Department of Corrections, so I can agree with you. On that note, folks, Mancini, Superman, this is where it all ties into a bow at the end of Mario, Chaos, and the Kid podcast. Mancini used to have superpowers, kind of like Superman. But his therapist took them away. That's it, folks!
Ladies and gentlemen, join us next time from Mario, Chaos, and the Kid when we talk about the world of professional wrestling and anything else you'd like to email, send in. Kid, we got anywhere that people could write us or anything?
They could just at me. They could at bodyslam.net on Twitter, or just my personal Denan_Matt. That's it.
There it is.
See you guys later.
Good night and God bless. Drive safe, everybody.